argue with results.
Table frame.
Seconds of awkward silence.
Staring at the 629 on my computer. All right, good evening. Today is January 25th. Time is 6:30 p.m., and I am calling this meeting of the Macomb Township Board of Trustees to order. We will now say the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Posey, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. Trustee Cusimano?
Here.
Trustee Lucido?
Here.
Trustee Oliver?
Here.
Trustee Nevers?
Present.
Treasurer Drollet?
Here.
Clerk Posey here. Supervisor Viviano?
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you. Are there any additions? This is moving on to the next item, which is approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections?
I have none for this evening.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Support.
Any discussion? Hearing none, motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Nevers to approve the agenda. Members, please vote.
Version 1.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to approval of the bills. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Support.
Any discussion or questions on the bill run?
Mr. Chairman, I had a question earlier in the day regarding the posting of the bill run on the website. There was some discussion between myself and Treasurer Drollet about it. I think I sent an email to your office.
Yes, and
Whether that has been,
it's been resolved, right? Yes. After you alerted us that it didn't get posted timely, we put it up.
all right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
That's all I have.
If there's no more discussion, motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Oliver to approve the bills. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to approval of the previous meeting's minutes from January 11th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion on the previous meeting's minutes? Hearing none, motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Clerk Posey to approve the previous meeting's minutes. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. This takes us to our first public comment. This is public comment for agenda items only. If you have a public comment to make, please make your way to the microphone on the right-hand side of the room. If you are participating remotely, you may digitally raise your hand and you will be called upon. Please remember there's a 3-minute time limit, and if you could say your name and address for the record, I would appreciate it.
I can. Excuse me. My name is John Crendo, and I live at 55570 Broughton. I'm here to talk about issue 20, and that has to do with a change in zoning from residential to commercial at 25 Mile and Broughton. I'm not here alone. There's a large contingent of people from both Broughton Road and 25 Mile Road. All of us believe that we were not sufficiently informed of the action that's being proposed. I'm suggesting that there has been a violation of the Open Meetings Act. It feels as though there has been some information that was kept from us. And I'm not saying it was intentional, but I am saying no effort was made to communicate this change in the status of the zoning. We want to ask the board to at least postpone a decision on this until there's been a time for us to have reasonable input into what's going on in that corner. And it's not too late. It's still zoned residential unless you guys take some action. So no shovels have gone into the ground. We still have some, there's plenty of time. There just has not been enough input. The township held 7 one-hour meetings, open houses in the fall of 2020, and only one of those meetings was devoted to land use. The township also hosted a community open house regarding the master plan. At no time during any of those meetings, any open house, did anybody point to that corner and say, we want to change it from the residential that it's been for decades and make it commercial. When we were in front of the Planning Commission, although the public comments were welcomed, Mr. Bach said that they're useless, that there is really no value to public comments because we were untimely. What I tried to point out to him, what I tried to point out to the Planning Commission, what I'm asking you guys to consider, is that there really was never anything communicated to any of the people on 25 or Broughton Road that says there is a plan to change the way you have lived. I've been there since 1988. Others here have been there longer than me. And even though it was represented to the commission that this change was included in the open houses, it was not. I had a meeting with Mr. Box yesterday and Mr. Scurto, and they agree. It's not in there. They didn't talk specifically about that corner. It just came out, and the only way you can see it is on a plat map for future uses. It doesn't say that's the way it needs to be tomorrow. The developer's already indicated that he wants to break ground in a year or so. And all of a sudden, we've gone from waiting to see what happens down at the township center to seeing the development start on our corner. And we're not even in the township center. So it has, the way it's gone down, it's made a lot of people unhappy about the way the township has gone about it. It looks like somebody was trying to hide something from us until it was too late. And I think if all we have to do is have a meeting on it, and everybody can be well, maybe not the developer, but I think that it's that the people have to have an opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
I'm going to continue on with Mr. Crendo, there, John's,
Could you give us your name and address for the record?
Scott Bruglio, 55533 Broughton Road. About the same topic. I'm going to speak to my fellow neighbors before I get to the board here, but I'll stay right here. Because they need to know what's been transpiring, and I know they're unaware of. Because it seems like there's still, John said it a little different way, but I'm going to say there still seems like corruption's involved in this township. A few months ago, my wife, my kids, wanted to buy the Lions Club to do another business. And I went to the township and asked, we had various different things we thought of doing there. Every one of them got shot down. Every single one of the things we wanted to do there was shot down. So my wife and I thought, you know what, maybe we'll open up like a little hall. We'll do graduation parties. We'll do maybe small weddings, birthday parties. Same type of venue as the Lions Club, holding meetings, different gatherings. That got shot down. Well, wouldn't you know it, lo and behold, who bought the Lions Club? That was the township bought it. Why are we spending? I was bidding against my own money. My own tax dollars were bidding against this. They buy that. To do what? So every time I wanted to do something there, why I was getting shot down made sense. They also turned down, the Lions Club had a $250,000 offer on that piece. They accepted a $125,000 offer from the township. Made no sense. Why would anybody do that? Anybody in business or any even residential would take the $250,000 offer over $125,000. It just doesn't feather out well. Didn't make any sense why they took that offer. Another parcel I tried to buy.
If you wouldn't mind bringing this back to the agenda
Oh,
item?
no, we need this here. We voted you people in.
You're not
So
addressing
we
the
voted
agenda
you people
item.
in. I'll get to this. 23 Mile, I wanted to open another business up there.
And how is
between
that
North
related to
Avenue
25
and
North
Card
North
Road.
Broughton?
No, you keep shutting me down there. That's a commercial district. But in your master plan, you want it as, oh, and by the way, on this one, I got laughed at hysterically from one of you members. I won't call names out. I got a personal phone call from one of you members when I came to your planning commission wanting to rezone that parcel, which is on 23 and 3 doors down, 3 doors away from this piece, which is 28 acres. Is the exact 2 businesses reside there exactly with what I want to put there, and you shut me down. That's where commercial or industrial, and if you look at your master plan, it says it in there that there is industrial and commercial property on 23 Mile. Not up here. This is rural area. Why in the hell are we want to put commercial
All right,
property?
your 3 minutes is up.
No, we're just getting,
your
no,
3
no,
minutes
I'm
is
not,
up.
no, wrong. I pay my
This is-
taxes
this
here,
is a
and
board-
I voted you
We
in.
have board rules.
I don't
They're
care.
adopted.
John was up here longer than 3 minutes. I timed it. John was up here. So, no, I'm not done. Ben, don't start because don't start. We don't want to go there.
Ben, do I got to
No,
call, do I
no,
gotta call the
so-
sheriff?
Scott, we have
But
a
John was
section
up here-
for non-agenda items. Talk about the rezoning now.
Nobody
and then you
wants
can
your
t-
commercial
you can talk
on
about
in
your
this
thing
rural
later.
area.
Your
It's
3
a
minutes is
rural
over.
area in Macomb Township.
Your
It's
3
been for
minutes
years.
is
You
over.
people just do, it's corrupt how you handled it. And the funny thing is, how does the board get
Colin?
this decision?
Out of order.
How does the board get the decision? How come they don't make it?
All right. Are you done?
No, I'm
Thank
not
you.
done.
There's another
far
3
from
minutes.
done.
There's
There's a 3
another
minutes.
3
You
minutes
are
at the end of
welcome
the
to
meeting as
do a
well.
3-minute rant after the
In the
meeting.
meantime, I got a lifetime to live what you people want to do. We
Is there-
we voted you in to work for us, not work for the township, not work for.
Okay.
Why are the?
Is there anybody else who wishes to make public comment at this time?
Yeah, everybody on this street in this area should be talking about this. Nobody wants your master plan for your dollars, which is total corruption.
My name's Jason. I live at 55191 Broughton Road. I am 2 residents over from where the proposed rezoning is. I never heard about the rezoning until Mr. Crendo sent a letter in my mailbox last night. I understand that the state says that we should allow a 300-foot notice to people about a rezoning. Who does that hit? And that really only hits 1 residence from that corner lot. So I sat to myself last night, and my wife, who live in a rural area in the eclectic street of Broughton, where we've been promised for 15 years about a downtown area that would span from 24 mile to 25 mile. And now we're getting pushed to 26 mile. And I said, what's the point here? What's the push to move north? And then I sat and I looked at the first 2 houses that sit there, and I looked at how the property was purchased, and that the developer's wife bought the piece of property, and then it was repurchased, the corner lot, to her husband, which is a little slippery. And then I thought about how the rezoning took place and how slippery it was that it happened when there were not public, yes, there were virtual meetings. So I thought about the future of my house and me looking to the back of a commercial property and where I was promised this downtown epicenter, and which is already taking place, a beautiful rec center, library, this building that we stand in today. But then I looked at my neighbor 2 doors down, who lives on 3 acres and was already approached by the developer for a decent penny for a purchase of his land to redevelop this property that he wants. But how does that benefit anybody on the street of Broughton? It doesn't really make any sense. And why are we not pushing south? Why are we not making the push to where you guys started? You guys already had this master plan of this southern 24 to 25 mile plan, and now we're going this way. So you zone it commercial, and then what, 5, 6 years later, it's a gas station? Because whatever building gets put there isn't gonna succeed. There's no route to Card Road. Nobody's coming here but a shortcut.
Thank you. Your time is up. Is there anyone else who wishes to make public comment at this time?
Yeah, I wasn't done, I still like to talk. We're spending money in the township on properties when we have bridges down, infrastructure down, roads need replacing, and we're buying property, and we're worried about putting, if you wanna collect more tax dollars.
Please go ahead. State your name and address for the record.
I'm Marlene Thompson. My address is 21133 25 Mile Road. I am here because, first of all, I'm angry because we were not notified of this change in property zoning. I have lived on a farm here all of my life, 74 years of my life. This is a residential rural area. People that have lived here for multi-generations. They have given their time and their life to this property, to their homes. They've built here. They've been here. And then you want to put a commercial complex in, which I don't understand because within, they say it's needed. It's when you go within a mile or two of this whole area, and you can get almost anything you want. I just feel that this is being done. This builder is doing this to pocket money in his pocket. He's not going to care what goes in there once he gets a commercial area built. He's going to be long gone. He'll get phone calls, oh, sure, we'll rent this place, and it'll be to his benefit. He won't care what's in there. I mean, I just have a really hard understanding of what if this is going on. It's totally out of place. It just seems like he has, when he bought the property, he was looking out for himself only. He wasn't looking out for the whole picture here of the homes and the farms that still exist in this area. Gotta take a breath. I feel that we have just lost control of what we have. We've worked so hard out here for what we have, and then people turn around and want to do with some of the property what they please. I mean, this is a beautiful town center you have here. I mean, we're very blessed with this. But, I mean, if you're in such a need of a commercial complex, put it in a town center. This is a town. You wanted a town. You wanted a village between 24 and 25 Mile Road. If there's such a need for commercial buildings, then the commercial building should go in the town center. If you are such dire desire of a need of a shopping center. I just, I can just see if there's a commercial building there of trucks going in and out, people complaining about the noise, trucks loading and unloading, their beep, 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 beep noise as they're coming and going. People smoking out in back of their buildings because they can't smoke inside the buildings. What kind of impression is this going to give the township? Is this going to give this rural area that we've been so blessed with for so long?
Thank you. Your time is up.
My name's Tony Bauman, 55173 Huckleberry. John, is it? Thank you for the letter. I knew nothing about it. My wife found it on the Neighborhood Watch thing. It got put up. We moved here in 2004. Love the area because it's rural, like the lady said. And then the township coming here, all this stuff in here is awesome. We like it. We use the gym, the ice rink, everything. You want to put something else? Why wouldn't you put it in here, like she said? And the roads around here, you got to be kidding me. I mean, the bridge is out. how can you even think about putting something in here when your roads aren't ready for it? And I live right by Luckman, so I have that delightful, for 5 years, been watching the building going on there. 5 years. Can't open my windows in the summer because they're still building. There's always something going on there. You got so much building going on around here. Why aren't you just maybe focusing on getting what needs to be done first, like these neighborhoods? Finish them first before you're going to throw something else in here. It's getting where we almost want to move and move north. But this is a nice area, and if it wasn't for John and this lady saying, put it in here. You have this great area, all this land. This is what you talked about. When we moved here, when we heard about it, we came, we supported the meetings, we supported the things that went on. You know, unfortunately, they tore a golf course down, put up all the homes, okay. And then my little lot of land where they're packing these tight homes and with no room behind them. It's not helping my house, the equity on that. And then, of course, we had Myers at 24 Mile. I mean, really, was that needed? I mean, how much more do we need in here? Everything is close enough. Really take a look at what you're voting on and give us more of a choice. Let us know. I didn't know anything about this till he sent out a letter. I should have gotten a letter from the township. I should have had something saying, we're having a meeting about this. What do you think? No, I don't get anything from you guys. In fact, I've complained a number of times about the 25 Mile, them not taking care of it. You know what happens? Nothing. Nothing. It's because the engineer here doesn't get along with the builder there. And that's why it's taking so long. They keep having problems getting the permits. Well, is this going to happen here too at 25 in Broughton? Are you going to just give, you know, is a building going to go on for 2-3 years? And like she said, there's a constant noise and the disruptions. I'm here just to support the people of Broughton. I feel bad for them because that is a great street. I mean, I look at those homes on there, I thought, wow, they are so lucky. Not so much anymore. I feel bad for them. And I'll be honest, I have 59 seconds. If you want to have my 59 seconds, you got them. You got them. You got
All right,
50.
that's not the way it works. Your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Scott,
Basically, we
sit
wanted to
down.
just make sure, because I was going to have my son come up, so I'm going to do it for him.
No, you're
All this
not.
does is
No, you're not.
benefit you folks, your wallets.
Your time is up. Please sit down.
Nothing for the community benefits.
Then let us hear from the community. Let us hear from the community.
You're hearing it from the community. Nobody wants this. Here's my other son. They were born and raised on this street.
Can we hear from the woman at the counter, at the podium, please?
Have your opportunity.
Narina Watkins.
If I had my opportunity, we would have been notified of this. I got notified from a neighbor. The township didn't send anything out to notify anybody of anything.
I'm interested.
I got notice 2 days ago from my neighbor about this. You don't expect us to be hot and pissed off
No.
that this community wants to put a commercial building on 2 corners and
Enough.
We want to hear from other people. We get it from you, sir.
Narina Watkins, 55767 Broughton Road. I understand your passion, Scott. I've grown up playing on that property. I built my house. I've been there since '98. Saw houses coming in developed, and we had a run-in. We know your passion. I know where you're coming from. I can rattle on. I'm not prepared. Again, we found out last night. Some of us got a lot of stuff going on. I know I'm not alone. This is not the board originally. I think we're all upset. We've lived through the subdivisions going in, and that all happened because they actually did notify everybody and got the whole group here together to get it shot down, to turn around and not tell us that they're selling it to a company that the former lawyer worked for, and they developed it. We weren't told about that. I mean, these are the things that have happened over time for us long-timers, and you're getting the brunt of it. And I agree with John, like, to show respect and that you're truly here for the good of the community, that you could at least side table this so we have a chance to look into it. You're not going to give us details why you think it's good or why it's bad. We need to look that up ourselves. Now I'm going for a blank. I'm just sorry I have a few more residents that I know wanted to be here, but you know, with walkers in the snow, they couldn't make it. It doesn't make sense. It's a very bad taste in my mouth, just the thought. I thought, my God, if they would have just said the south side, I could jive with that. But, you know, over the years we've heard, we want, we talk about Royal Oak, we talked about Rochester, and all these communities that have been maintaining with the growth and development, and you drive down Broughton, you have these, no, everybody used to say mismatch, because there's some smaller homes. I know Scott built a beautiful home, and people would want to buy, and we get approached all the time so they could build a bigger, beautiful home on those estate-size lots. I mean, that's a beautiful thing to drive down to this township, which, progression, change is hard for me. I mean, I had a great uncle who died right on this property pheasant hunting. I mean, it's not what attracts people here. And, then there's, we've had other businesses on 25 Mile Road that the township spent a great deal of time and money to shut down. And it wasn't like a public thing. It was agricultural or, would those businesses be opening up too? Is that part of the plan? I don't know, but it'd be great if you guys could at least give us a chance to get our information to make a better presentation why this makes no sense.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name's Don McElhaney, 55590 Broughton Road. I've only been there a couple years. 2020 June, I purchased a house on that street, overgrown, run down, old. I'm probably close to $500,000 into purchasing, renovating, fixing up. And this is the second time that something's happened here at this corner that we haven't been notified about. I found out from John, my neighbor, these condos that they're putting in over here with the signs up for the building over here. I got a letter the day after the meeting. Not really good to be able to come to a meeting when the meeting was the day before. I grew up at 24 Mile and Hayes, between Shaner and Hayes and Sherwood Forest in 1984, when there was nothing out here. Got married, had kids, lived down in the city. I spent my whole life to move back out this way. I've been here 2 years, and now, since I've been out here, we're developing here that we don't get to talk about. Now you guys are going to put, what, a Dollar General? You want everybody pulling out of this city center, and you're going to put some little commercial building at a corner that, like everybody says, no one's going to use. Access to it is very limited. You're not getting traffic coming all the way through. That, to me, it doesn't make any sense. I'm very disappointed in the way that we were notified, that I have to get a letter from my neighbor that he found out about it. None of us were told that any of this was coming. Kind of surprised that, I spent the past 30 years trying to get back out here, and I don't know how much longer I'm going to stay if this is the way things are run. And like I said, I'm $500,000 into being here, and somebody else can come in, buy a piece of property, slide it to somebody else, and all of a sudden nobody around gets any say in what goes there. Kind of doesn't make any sense to me. So that's it.
All right, thank you. Do we have anyone present who wishes to make additional comment? Is there anybody remotely who wishes to make comment? Sir. Okay, hearing that, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent items?
Chair, I move the consent agenda in its entirety.
Support.
Any discussion on the consent items? Hearing none, we have a motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Lucido, to approve the consent agenda. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on to items 7 and 8. These are going to be two public hearings. The first of which is for fiscal year 2023. This will be for CDBG public hearing for the both service funding and the bricks and mortar projects. At this time, I am going to open the first public hearing. The time is 6:58 p.m. Anyone who wishes to make comment or requests for the CBDG funding may approach the microphone, or if they are participating remotely, you may digitally raise your hand.
I have a couple materials, if that's okay.
Sure.
Good evening. My name is Stacy Conti, and I am the Community Outreach Coordinator at Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers. With the number of older adults in Macomb County rapidly increasing, the need for support services due to frailties of age, chronic health conditions, or disabilities is growing dramatically and will continue to do so well into the future. For 30 years, our organization has been providing free basic assistance to hundreds of frail, older, and physically challenged adults, helping them to remain safely in their homes with the help of over 200 volunteers. Such assistance has been helping older and disabled adults with transportation, chores, respite breaks, errands, and loneliness. These opportunities provide fulfilling experiences for those who wish to volunteer with us, as well as support for those in need. The CDBG Safe at Home project of Interfaith is part of our larger chore and repair program for older and disabled adults. The project was developed to provide additional chore and repair services in communities that allocate funding for the purpose. This project allows us to assist low to moderate income seniors and physically challenged adults with indoor and outdoor chores, minor home repairs, and routine housekeeping. We identify individuals who cannot do these tasks on their own and with limited resources, and prioritize those with the greatest need. We are requesting the CDBG funds to increase the number of low-income citizens we can reach to grow our program, as well as coordinate the volunteers who do these services. In 2022, we were able to serve 470 clients, with almost 200 being served through the Safe at Home program. 2021-2022 program year was the first time we were granted CDBG funding from Macomb Township, and as a result, we were statistically able to help more Macomb Township residents with these tasks than in years past. With the program year half over, we have already been able to help numerous Macomb Township residents with these Safe at Home program tasks. We hope for continued support and funding in order to maintain this increase in the number of Macomb Township residents we have been able to assist compared to years without the funding. The appreciation for the assistance is heartwarming from seniors, such as a woman who we helped install a new toilet and who didn't have one that functioned, and another senior who we helped declutter her home and take donations to the Salvation Army. Other examples include replacing locks, washing windows, and installing smoke alarms. With the CDBG funding, this project can grow and assistance can be granted to a variety of lower-income Macomb Township senior citizens and disabled adults. Thank you for the board to the consideration. Any dollar amount granted is greatly appreciated as we hope to continue to partner with you going forward. And I'd be happy to take any questions if you had any.
Thank you, and thank you for what your organization does.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, I guess not. Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to make, oh, we got another?
I have a quick question on the.
I'm sorry, we got other business we're tending to, please.
When does the vote happen is what I want to know.
It's on the agenda.
There's an agenda over there, Scott, right by the door. By the door, there should be copies there.
Hi, good to see
When are they supposed to do the vote? Ben?
Hold on one second.
Thank you.
So they have this, they have another hearing.
Thank you.
Request to adopt, engineering, planning and zoning.
And you know this is bullshit, right? So they haven't voted on it yet.
16, item 16.
They're gonna vote on it tonight?
Good evening. My name is Dory Vasquez Nolan, resident of Macomb Township and the executive director of Care House, the Macomb County Child Advocacy Center. Our main office is located in the city of Mount Clemens, and we also have a satellite office located in the city of Warren. Care House is the only agency in Macomb County that provides comprehensive services for child victims of sexual abuse, physical abuse, and children that may have been a witness to a violent act, as well as their non-offending family members. Our goals are to minimize the trauma that is typically associated with child abuse investigations and to support the child and family throughout the investigation and prosecution phases. We are an accredited member of the National Children's Alliance and one of over 800 in the United States. We collaborate with all law enforcement jurisdictions in Macomb County, as well as the FBI, Homeland Security, and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, CPS, the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office, and medical and mental health professionals. We offer intervention and support services, including coordination of forensic interviews, crisis counseling, child safety assessments, child and family support groups, trauma-focused therapy, family advocacy, access to forensic medical examinations, assistance with transportation for therapy appointments, and referrals to other needed community services. Also, as the designated local counsel for the Michigan Children's Trust Fund, we offer child abuse prevention, education, and training for professionals who work with children and for the community at large. Families are never charged for any of the services that they receive at Care House, and we serve families as long as they need us. We're also very proud that our most recent independent audit still has us at 88 cents of every dollar that comes into Care House is devoted specifically towards serving children and families. Almost 3 children in every Michigan classroom, and over 20,000 of all the kids here in Macomb County today are living with the trauma of sexual abuse. We know that the numbers are much higher than our best estimates because sadly most children never tell. And these kids come from every race, gender, economic status, and over 800 each year start their journey towards healing at Care House. I'll skip over some stuff. Since our opening in '96, we've conducted over 10,000 interviews, and 541 of those children resided in Macomb Township. In 2022, we conducted 704 interviews. 43 of those children resided in Macomb Township. So far this year, we've already served 4 Macomb Township families. We do depend on the support of the community to provide a voice for children who have been abused and a safe place for them to heal. We're very grateful for the support that we received from Macomb Township last year, and this year we respectfully request consideration in the amount of $12,000 to help us provide services for 20 qualifying children and their families who were residents in Macomb Township.
Thank you.
Our website, www.mccarehouse.org.
Are there any questions for this presenter? No?
I would just like to say thank you for what your Care House does. I worked for Friend of the Court previously, and what the assistance they give to the children is amazing and outstanding. So thank you very much.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else present who wishes to make a presentation for CBDG funding? No. Is there anyone remotely? No? Okay. At this time, I'm going to close the public hearing. Time is 7:06 p.m. Moving on to our second public hearing. This is for the Parks and Rec Master Plan. At this time, the time is 7:07 p.m. I am opening the public hearing. Anyone who wishes to make public comment on the Parks and Rec Master Plan may make their way to the microphone on the right-hand side of the room. Anyone participating remotely may digitally raise your hand. I do not see anybody present. Anybody remotely? No? Okay. No one wishes to make comment on the Parks and Rec Master Plan? I will close the public hearing, and the time is 7:07 p.m. This will take us to new business. We are going to move on to item 9. This is a request to adopt the annual MDOT performance resolution for government agencies. This is for the renewal of construction permit for operations within the state highway right-of-way. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second. Charlie.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes, good evening. So this is basically just a formality. This will allow us to apply for right-of-way permits in the MDOT right-of-way, which is like Gratiot or Hall Road. So if we have any utility work that we have to do, we need this permit. So it's just allowing us the ability to do so.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or discussion from the board? Okay, hearing none. We have a motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Oliver, to adopt the annual MDOT performance resolution for government agencies for the renewal of construction permits for operations within the state state highway right-of-way. Clerk Posey, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Treasurer Drollet.
Yes.
Trustee Oliver.
Yes.
Trustee Kuzimano.
Yes.
Trustee Lucido.
Yes.
Trustee Nevers.
Yes.
Clerk Posey, yes. Supervisor Viviano.
Yes. The resolution is adopted. Moving on to item 10, we have a request to adopt the resolution policy for compliance with the Macomb Township NPDES permit requirements for the discharge of stormwater to the surface water for MS4. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes, again, so this resolution is for township properties only. It's meant for, we adopting county standards for construction on our properties. Engineering has been following this standard for a while, so this is basically a formality that will satisfy an EGLE requirement. A link to the county's design standards can also be found on the agenda if people want to read it. But it's just basically making sure, a resolution saying that we are following county standards on township properties for construction and watching stormwater runoff. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. Motion by Clerk Posey, supported by Treasurer Gillette, to adopt the resolution policy for compliance with Macomb Township NPDES permit requirements for discharge of stormwater to surface water for the MS4. Clerk Posey, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Clerk Posey, yes. Treasurer Drollet.
Yes.
Trustee Kuzimano.
Yes.
Trustee Lucido.
Yes.
Trustee Oliver.
Yes.
Trustee Nevers.
Yes.
Supervisor Viviano.
Yes. The resolution is adopted. This will take us to item 11. This is a request to purchase office furniture from Office Express in the amount of $86,978.52.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes, so this agenda item is for DPW Furniture. As you know, we're in the middle of starting a DPW remodel. The RFP went out a couple days ago, so we're in the middle of that process. This is one section of this. It wasn't a part of the RFP. It was separate. It has been budgeted and was prepared for following an OMNIA and a TIPS program, following the purchasing policy. And this will replace all the furniture in the DPW in the internal office area. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I may. How old is the DPW building currently?
The building was 1996-ish, so 27 years.
27 years? And was the furniture, do you know if the furniture, I know you haven't been there 27 years,
No,
but
it's original.
it's original furniture, 27
Yes,
years?
It matches the wallpaper, yes.
Okay. Thank you. I've gone and looked at the furniture, and the furniture that is that's used, where the employees sit and so forth, is in pretty bad shape.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Oliver, to approve the purchase of office furniture from Office Express in the amount of $86,978.52. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. That'll take us to item 12. This is a request to pay Green Meadows Landscape for the invoices totaling $39,378. And this includes properties which were added to the original scope of work from the approved contract. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
Mr. Johnson?
All right, so the reason for the late arrival of this agenda item was we were having some challenges with invoicing and receiving them on time. That has since been rectified, and moving forward, if the next agenda item is approved, that will be handled and they'll be received in a timely manner. But we're looking to approve these invoices, as well as the addition of the parcels of Pitchford Park Pump Station 10. It's on 23 Mile, and there's the emergency connection for water at Hall and Card with the 3 additional parcels that were updated. So we're just looking to approve these with the addition of those three parcels. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions or discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I got a question. Do you know the reason why the scope of the work didn't originally include these locations?
I do not myself. I was hired here in March, and this was approved in February last year, so I'm not particularly sure why that was the case.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I noticed that the next agenda item,
I can address some of that.
yeah, sure.
So two of the properties in question were pump stations, and originally, there was concern about having a contractor run equipment around the pump stations and their equipment there. Since then, when they started, that was no longer a concern, so they added those two properties to the scope of work. The other one they added was Pitchford, which was, I think, simply unaccounted for because it hadn't been a property very long. So that accounted for most of the overrun.
And prospectively looking at the next agenda item, has the scope of work been adjusted?
It has, and I think Mr. Johnson's going to propose adding it a little higher because he and I spoke about one other property that we want to add. So he's going to make that presentation next.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll ask the next question on the next item.
All right, thank you, Trustee Kuzmano. Anybody else have questions on this item? Okay. Motion by Trustee Oliver, supported by Trustee Lucido, to pay Green Meadows Landscape, Inc. for invoices totaling $39,378. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on to item 13. This is a request to approve the exercising the 2-year extension with the same Green Meadows Landscape, Inc. And I'm not going to say the amount because Kevin's about to adjust it. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Support.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes, so Green Meadows, obviously, we're recommending the extension, 2-year extension. They did a very good job. We just had a minor hiccup with some landscaping stuff and then just the billing, but those are minor things that we can tweak, and we've already addressed them moving forward for the future. We've discussed it with them, so we're all on the same page moving forward. But they've done a very good job with the parcels they've dealt with. The contract, the cost on the agenda item does include the 3 additional parcels that were mentioned in the previous agenda item, as well as I'm going to look to add the Paul and Annette Lucido River Park as a part of this as well. So with that, we're going to be quoting roughly $3,120 per year for 2 years, which totals $6,240 additional. That'll be for 26 cuts per year. I'm recommending the maximum now because this is a per cut cost. So if we decide we want to have it 13, we just tell them we want 13 cuts. So we're asking for 26 get approved. If we want to pare that down in the future, we can.
So do we calculate what the new total, and this is a 2-year total, correct?
It's a 2-year total, correct.
Do we know what the 2-year total is? Or the 2-year max?
Yep, I can get that. Give me 1 second here. I apologize.
$274, $242?
I believe that's correct, yep.
$270 or $242. So at this time, I'm going to ask if Treasurer Gillette, would you amend your motion to include a total contract amount of $274,242?
Yes.
And Trustee Nevers, do you second the amended?
Yes.
Okay, with that, are there any questions?
I had one question. Are we still realizing a savings rather than doing it in-house by subbing it out to a third party?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
Finance may also speak to that because I've spoken with them that we used to, for those who may not remember, we used to hire summer employees that would come and mow the lawn. But that was a big management issue, a big hiring issue, scheduling issues. It became very unwieldy. So by contracting out to an independent contractor, it's actually saved us money and don't have to hire a bunch of kids. Sometimes they show up. Sometimes they don't. It's been increasingly challenging to hire part-time folks.
Plus equipment, maintenance, fuel to bring them back and forth. There's a lot that goes into it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes.
Given the number of properties that are being serviced, what is the mechanism by which the township is assured that the cuts are taking place on the weekly schedule?
Yeah, so we monitor it. We actually have a spreadsheet that lays out when the costs come in. We make sure that each parcel's being properly charged, the right amount of costs associated with it. And we're visiting the sites routinely to making sure that the cuts are being made.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Trustee Kuzmano. If there's no more questions, you have a motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Nevers, to approve the 2-year extension to the Green Meadows Lawnscape, Inc. contract. This will be for a 2-year total of $274,242, and that will also include a unit price of $65 per yard for mulch as needed. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. This will take us to item 14. This is a request to approve for Synergy Engineering to replace the storage tank and hot water boiler at the rec center. Total is $77,448. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes, so in working with Sal and the rec department, we're looking to get the storage tank and hot water boiler replaced. There were some issues when looking at these items that they're in need of immediate repair. These items are in stock and we can get this project underway immediately. Talking with Sal, the goal for this is going to be the pool is going to be shut down from February 27th to March 4th while they do these repairs. Normally there's a shutdown in May for maintenance, so they're utilizing this time for maintenance to avoid the May shutdown as well. So they're doing 2 birds and 1 stone here. So we're going to get all this, and plus since the storage tank is being taken apart, the same components can be taken apart to replace this boiler, so it just makes sense to replace it at the same time. So we're doing them simultaneously. And I'll be able to answer any questions you may have.
So these 3 items have been on the Parks and Rec CIP.
They are budgeted, yes.
Yes. So this is a budgeted replacement, and this is one of 3, correct, Sal? And so we will be seeing 1 or 2 more of these in the next year. Any other questions or discussion?
How old are them the original ones from the building when we first built
Yes,
that?
they're original.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing no more questions, we have a motion by Trustee Oliver, supported by Treasurer Gillette, to approve Synergy Engineering to replace the storage and hot water tank boiler at the rec center. Total is $77,448. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Moving on to engineering, this is item 15. We have a request for permission to execute a cost share agreement for construction cost with the Macomb County Department of Roads for a shared use path from 25 Mile Road into Macomb Township Center. Total cost $92,589. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Mr. Van Tifflin.
Mr. Chairman, board members, as the board's aware, the township is in the process of securing a TAP grant that would complete the pathway from the rec center over to Macomb Corners Park. There is a match associated with that grant. The Macomb County Department of Roads has agreed to basically split the match with the township. This agreement that's before you is to memorialize that agreement, and it requires a deposit of $92,589 that would come from the township. The county would pick up the rest of the match. We've reviewed it, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Van Tifflin. Any questions or discussion?
Just one question.
Yes.
So was this the one that's going to kind of go on the left side of the pond, but not all the way around, or?
Correct. This would go between the drain and the pond from the rec center where the drain crossing is over to where the sidewalk that goes towards Broles and then across
Gotcha.
25 Mile.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Note also, if I could, the crossing that was put in place across 25 Mile Road, the pedestrian crossing, is part of the overall project, correct?
That, it's not part of the TAP grant, it couldn't be, but the county has agreed to split that with us.
It was required to be in
It had
place
to
in
be
order
there,
to
yes.
qualify for the TAP grant.
But it wasn't TAP grant eligible.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none. Motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Lucido, to execute a cost share agreement for construction costs with Macomb County Department of Roads for the shared use path from 25 Mile Road into Macomb Township Center. Total cost $92,589. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 16, we have a request to approve a site plan. This will be for Scottville Farms, permanent parcel ID 0809100004. This is located at 25 Mile Road, west of Broughton. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
Mr. Box.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. As you mentioned, this is on the south side of 25 Mile. This is roughly across from Macomb Corners Park. It would be directly east of the Pheasant Run development that's currently under construction. This is a single-family and multifamily development. The area closer to 25 Mile would be single-family, and the multifamily would be further south. This does match the town center vision and the master plan, and did go in front of the town center committee and was recommended for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Box. Any questions or discussion? Okay. Nothing? Hearing none. Motion by Trustee Oliver, supported by Treasurer Gillette, to approve the site plan for Scottville Farms, permanent parcel ID 0809100004. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 17 is a request to approve a PUD for general design. This is for the Hartford. This is permanent parcel ID 0814100011, and the location is 24 Mile Road, east of Card. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Mr. Box.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. The Hartford, as you are probably aware, is a development that already exists. There's a PUD plan that's already in place. However, as they're finishing the final phase, there's some area that is a common element to the original phases, where there's some trails that were originally there and have since not been maintained, maintained and have eroded away. The developer of the final phase had asked to be relieved of putting in the remainder of those trails, as they would no longer connect to anything. And because the PUD agreement had already been adopted, they needed to get approval from the remaining homeowners associations, which they have done. This did go in front of the Planning Commission, was recommended for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Box. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none. Motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Clerk Posey, to approve the PUD general design for the Hartford, permanent parcel ID 0814100011. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 18. This is a request to approve an extension of time for the conditional rezoning. This is for Wolverine Villas, permanent parcel ID 0805301008. These are located at Romeo Plank and 25 Mile Road. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
Mr. Box.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. Just under a year ago, the board did approve a conditional rezoning for Wolverine Villas, which, as you mentioned, is near the corner of Romeo Plank and 25 Mile. Due to a longer time period to get a number of permits, the development has not began construction yet. And one of the conditions with the conditional rezoning was that they would break ground within a year, so they are here before you seeking an extension of that time, as they are working to establish the permits that are needed.
And how long is the extension of time for?
1 year.
And is it reasonable to believe they will be breaking ground within the next year?
I don't know. It depends on how long the permit process takes.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
Just quick clarification, we're talking about county permits and state permits from Eagle, or?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this property is right along the drain there.
Yes, it would be on the west side of the drain, kind of in the rear of like the Kit Kat Club and some other residences in that area.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none. Motion by Clerk Posey, supported by Treasurer Gillette, to approve the extension of time for the conditional rezoning for Wolverine Villas, permanent parcel ID 0805 301 008. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 19. This is a conditional rezoning request from office low-rise to commercial high-rise, permanent parcel 0832300012. This is on Hall Road, east of Garfield. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Support.
Mr. Box.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. This conditional rezoning is with regards to what is known as the Omni Office Building on Hall Road. This building has been there for a number of years. It is currently zoned office, and the applicant is seeking to get a conditional rezoning to allow some commercial uses in the facility. They primarily have some salon-style businesses that are going to go there. They're going to try to maintain some of the medical tenants that exist. But the salon uses would be not allowed in an office setting. And there's a number of conditions within this rezoning agreement that would limit some of the uses that can go in there. Because it was built and designed as an office building, one of our primary concerns would be parking. So we wanted to make sure we limit what commercial options could go there so they didn't run into a parking problem. And those have all been addressed in the conditional rezoning agreement. This did go to the Planning Commission, and the agreement itself was reviewed by staff and the Township Attorney, and the Planning Commission recommended approval of this item.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Box.
So just a quick question, if I may, Mr. Chair, through you to Mr. Bach. So my understanding is to change the use somewhat that would allow for some low-impact commercial. It's a little confusing if you just read the agenda item, which it looks like this being rezoned for C2 with a higher rise, like additional floors. But that's just a formality in the zoning procedure. There's not going to be any change to the building itself.
I believe that high-rise actually may be a typo. C2 is general commercial, not high-rise. So you're correct. It's still zoned O1. It would allow conditionally the use of some C2 commercial uses, but one of the conditions limits what those uses could be. For example, no food establishment, no restaurants, things that require a lot more parking. There's also a condition that there would be no businesses allowed, no commercial operations allowed that would require a loading zone, as that building does not have a designated loading zone. So in order to get one, they'd have to remove more parking, which we don't want to see.
I see. So it would be appropriate to amend the motion to state that it's being rezoned to commercial C2 and eliminate the word high-rise?
Correct.
That's the technical name of the C2.
The technical name of C2 is high-rise?
I believe it's general commercial.
Is that a typo?
I believe so.
Oh.
So, given that, I'd like to offer that amendment so it just is properly constructed to reflect C2, general commercial, if that's accepted by the seconder.
Second.
Okay, thank you for that correction. Any other questions or discussion?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. It has
Yes.
to do with notice. Is there a requirement that notice be given as to the conditional rezoning request? And was that done at the planning level, planning commission level? And is it required to be done for this meeting?
So the public hearing notice was in the newspaper, as well as the 300-foot notices per statute were sent out. And the public hearing is to take place per ordinance at the planning commission, which it did.
And pursuant to the statute, is there a requirement that it be mailed certified mail, or is it just to the mailing address?
The mailing address on file that we received through the assessing department.
And is there a statement of mailing that's kept in the papers of the planning department?
We do have a record of who received, well, who we mailed to. I guess we wouldn't have a record of who received it, but, you know, once it gets in the mail, it's out of our control, but we do have a record of who it was mailed to.
And that would be available to the public through a Freedom of Information Act request, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Trustee Kuzma.
In addition, our agendas are also posted on the website, correct?
They are.
Okay.
So if I might just get clarification on that. So when this petitioner or any petitioner petitions for rezoning, this law requires anyone within 300 feet of the property line be sent a notice?
That's correct.
Is there a timeline in which that notice is sent?
Not prior to 5 days before the meeting, so we usually send it the week prior to the meeting.
Okay. And then there's also an advertisement in a general in the newspaper?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Gillette. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, we got a motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Lucido, to approve the conditional rezoning from O1 to C2 for permanent parcel ID 0832300012. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. This will take us to item 20. This is a rezoning request from residential one-family urban to commercial local. This is for permanent parcel IDs 0804400034 and 0804400035. This is the northwest corner of 25 Mile Road and Broughton. Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion. I'm sure there's a lot of questions that I have some myself, so I'd like the motion to move forward so we can discuss.
Okay.
Support.
Mr. Box.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. As you mentioned, there are two parcels here. They are both roughly 1 acre. They are located at the northwest corner of 25 Mile and Broughton. They are currently zoned R1 or single-family, one-family urban, and the applicant is requesting a rezoning to C1 commercial. This does match the master plan, and this went before the Planning Commission was recommended for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Box. Is there any questions or discussion?
Mr. Chair, I do have a couple questions. When you state it matches the master plan, the master plan shows that being rezoned from what it currently stands at R1 into commercial?
It shows the future land use as being commercial or office.
Okay. And I'm assuming that that notices were sent with regard to this rezoning?
The 300-foot mailers were sent, that's correct.
Okay. And it was published in a newspaper?
That's correct.
Okay. No, I may have further questions, but I'll yield.
Trustee Oliver?
No, I'm good. The answer to them.
You answered
I
them?
want to make sure them notices were also sent.
Okay. Trustee Guzman?
Yeah, I have a question. You were here when several of the residents were making their comments about not getting any notice. Is it your statement before this board that all legal requirements were followed?
That's correct.
And that would be prior to the Planning Commission making its recommendation, is that correct?
That's correct. Everybody within 300 feet, parcel line to parcel line. We generate that list through our assessing department, and that's who receives the notice of the mailer.
But we are asked to do a rezoning, irrespective of what the master plan says for future use. Is that correct?
They're seeking a rezoning. That's correct.
Otherwise, he can't do what he's intending to do with this property, convert it to commercial C1. That, I may have misstated.
He has not approached us with any site plans or anything of that nature for a commercial business there. So what he intends to do with the property, we don't know yet. He's seeking it to be rezoned.
That's all I have.
I got a
Okay,
question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Bott, can you describe to the audience that C1 is our lowest commercial zoning, and just a couple of examples of what would go into C1?
Sure. So there are 4 zoning categories for commercial in the township. C1 being the least intensive, which is what they're seeking here, and C4 being the most intensive. C4 type properties would typically be found on Hall Road or Gratiot Avenue. C1, what they're seeking, what the ordinance allows under permitted uses are things such as barber shops or beauty shops, bookstores, dressmakers, florists, jewelry stores, newsstands, novelty or gift or souvenir shops, shoe repairs, things of that nature, tanning salons. Under the special land uses, which they would have to then come back before the Planning Commission to seek a special land use, that would allow things like dry cleaning, local stores selling fish, fruit, or hardware, or carry-out restaurants excluding drive-through facilities.
Could a bakery go in there without them coming back for special land use?
A bakery is allowed under C1. That's correct.
Could a gas station be built there?
A gas station could not be built there. Let me go back to bakery. Bakery shop where the baking is not done on premises, so it would be baked elsewhere and brought in and sold.
So they would retail it there?
Correct.
Bake it elsewhere, okay. But a gas station
A gas station would not be allowed.
not be allowed? Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Oliver. Mr. Box?
Mr. Chairman, point
Go
of
ahead.
privilege. Was some remarks made by members of the gallery, the residents, including the word corruption. I'd like to state that I find that really offensive. I didn't take one single dime from any of these developers. I pride myself on my independence. And my feeling is I give everyone a fair and honest appraisal of the merits of actions brought before the board. And I think that my vote will reflect that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Trustee Guzmano. Mr. Box, who's the petitioner in this instance?
Mr. Salvatore Di Mercurio.
So then the township did not initiate this rezoning in any way?
We did not.
Did any of the board members speak to you about this rezoning?
No.
So to our attorney, Mr. Loya, our township has been through a number of contested rezonings. And you've been involved in helping my office settle a lot of them since we took over, correct?
Yes, many.
So in this case, if we were to deny this rezoning, and Mr. Di Mercurio were to challenge it in court, could you give me a legal assessment of what our position would be?
It'd be difficult because what we did was we adopted a master plan, and I think Josh can probably speak to and contest some of the statements here. That master plan was developed in public. There were multiple public hearings. There were, I know this board approved it during a board meeting. The master plan has been stated and listed on our website. There's a master plan map that's been on our website. The agenda was on the website. Planning Commission had an open hearing, and I know people who spoke today were present and gave their objections. So if we were to, if this developer is asking to rezone the property in accordance with our master plan, which we've adopted, it would be very difficult for us to defend that lawsuit, where he would claim that we unconstitutionally took his property because we did not approve his zoning, which is in accordance with our own master plan.
Okay.
So I'm not saying we would lose. I'm just saying that it would be very difficult to defend that case in front of a judge.
And in the instance where it is brought to a judge, then that decision is taken out of this board's hand and now is in a judge's hands. So we no longer have the opportunity to discuss or negotiate with the developer.
Yes, and then in that instance, I mean, he can't force us to make the decision to grant the rezoning, because it's not an appeal necessarily, but we could be facing damages as a community as a result of that decision.
There have been instances in Macomb Township, even when the master plan did not call for a specific zoning, where developers have requested it and challenged it through a lawsuit.
That is correct. That is correct. And they make other arguments which, are complex, and we have resolved those.
I'm going to ask Mr. Van Tiffelen, you've been here the longest, and you're the land development director. In your experience, since you've been with the township, have the township ever won a land dispute in a rezoning in a court?
Not that I'm aware of. I've been involved in 3 different lawsuits that have gone to trial, and all 3 of those the township lost.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
Josh, at the Planning Commission meeting, did the public have the opportunity to speak on this topic?
Yes, they did.
And did you have any members that spoke this evening speak at that meeting?
I believe just one.
Okay. So they were notified, residents did get the information enough to where they did actually attend that meeting.
So the 300-foot mailers were sent out. I don't believe the individual who spoke this evening and at Planning Commission lives within 300 feet of the parcels in question.
Okay.
So that is why they were not notified. They're not in the proximity that the statute requires us to notify.
Okay, on that topic, and this may be a question for Ben, being that out in this area, 300 feet could possibly include maybe 1 or 2 homes from a property line.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the minimum required by the state, is 300 feet?
Well, that's just for the mailer, right? I mean,
Right.
so we're required to mail, but I think we have to understand that we're required to meet the state requirements. We put it in the newspaper, we mail to the 300 feet surrounding the property, and we go above and beyond. We publish on our website. The agenda's available. So, that's what we're required to do. And what's difficult in today's day and age is we meet the standard and we put it in the mail. But, if the mail courier service didn't get it to them, it's first class, then obviously it's unfortunate, but we did meet our standard. We have our list, we mail it out. That's what we're required to do.
Is that something the township could take back and reconsider to expand it from the 300 feet, considering out in this area that may not touch very many homes?
You certainly could discuss that. I mean, again, you have to meet the 300-foot requirement. There's
Right.
nothing that says you can't do
Exceed that.
500 or 1,000. That's up to the township, but there's a cost involved in that, and certainly something you need to consider.
Josh, there was several comments made that people weren't aware or that we didn't have public hearings. Cultivate Macomb was a program that you launched with regards to this master plan and anything that would change going forward in the future. If putting you on the spot, I don't mean to, but approximately how many of those open meetings did you have? I know we had a huge Cultivate Macomb activity over at the rec center. How many days did we do that for, and how many active hearings and open sessions did you have with regards to Cultivate Macomb?
So I believe the one speaker did mention that we had 7 of the 1-hour Zoom sessions in the fall of 2020 as we were first starting the process. Those were open to the public. Again, we were under some quarantine restrictions, so that's why they were via Zoom. We did get participation in those. We got, as well as residents participating. I think we had the newspaper participate in some of those and publish articles about us updating our master plan. Then when we had a draft master plan, it was out for review for a 30-day period. And we also had the open house that you mentioned over at the Parks and Rec building, where a number of residents came in and were able to view the whole plan, ask questions, provide us feedback. That was in, I believe, September of 2021, near the end of September. And we also had a second survey. We had a survey in 2020, a follow-up survey in 2021. We took the results of those surveys and the input we got in September, and we took that information to heart and we finalized the plan. It was not adopted until March of 2022 because we were making changes, making updates based on those surveys and those comments.
How long was the total master plan process?
We started in the mid to late summer of 2020 and it was adopted in March of 2022.
So roughly 8 to 9 months? 8 months?
A year and
a year
and nine months ish.
How many survey respondents did we have?
Off the top of my head, I do not know.
Isn't it in like the 350, 360 range?
That sounds accurate, yes.
So when
I think he's correct. I think we did talk about that. 93 on the first survey, and I don't remember the numbers on the second survey, but I think he's correct. It was fewer on the second survey, but that was mail-in. The fewer on the second survey was the folks who reached out via email or postal mail. We got a number of survey responses at the open house as well.
Okay. But throughout that process, we promoted the fact that we were doing a master plan update, and we encouraged public participation. I know I myself spoke at my supervisor comments, I think every meeting for months. And we promoted on the website through social media.
Yes.
The draft master plan itself was on our website for how long before it was adopted?
Well, there's a requirement through the state of Michigan that the draft has to be available for the public to review and provide comment for 30 days. I think we exceeded the 30 days, but it was at least 30 days.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may
Yes.
have another question. So if this were to pass this evening in the C1 category, the developer would still have to go before the Planning Commission before the final plans would be for that piece of property. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's no site plan or anything in front of us this evening, just rezoning. They would have to come back with a site plan for what they would want to develop, and that would go in front of the Planning Commission.
So at that time, the Planning Commission would have the ability to control any type of exposure to the homes in that area, say for landscaping, to provide additional privacy, to control any type of lighting of that nature. That would be controlled at the Planning Commission meeting, correct?
That's correct, and one of the requirements that it's not even controlled by the Planning Commission, it's a requirement, is that anytime a commercial property is adjacent to a residential property, a 6-foot masonry wall shall separate the two uses. So that would, at a minimum, would be required when they come forward, when and if they come forward with a site plan.
And at that meeting, the residents would have the opportunity to speak their mind on any type of things that are proposed at that time as well?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a follow-up.
Sure.
Through the chair to legal counsel. What I'm getting from these discussions and your advice is that as a practical matter, all the parcels in the township were rezoned to be consistent with the master plan if it goes to court.
Can you clarify your question?
The master plan, if it is inconsistent with the current zoning?
There could be, but normally when the township develops a master, and let me get into the microphone, sorry.
Yep.
Normally when a developer or property owner moves to rezone in accordance with the master plan, and the master plan is something which has been developed by the township with a lot of thought, research, input from the community, then normally those those rezonings are granted, okay? And because they're coming to the township saying, we want to rezone it, and it meets what the master plan is of the township, and that's something across the state, okay? That's typically what happens. I'm not saying that developers don't come and try to ask for rezonings, which are different than the master plan. And there's various considerations as to why that happens, okay? So there's not a use that's attached to this rezoning. It's just simply a rezoning to meet the master plan. The use, they would have to come later and get and match what the purpose is in that zoning district. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I think somewhat I'm getting a clearer understanding of this process. So through the chair, back to the planning commission, or not planning commission, to Mr. Box. Is it a fair statement that an individual developer or owner of a parcel could have lobbied for a change in the master plan and it just didn't get noticed among all the other changes in the discussions that was going on in the master plan?
I guess I don't understand what you mean by your question, by lobbied.
How describe the process by which this parcel got changed in the master plan for a future use, which is inconsistent with the way it was under the previous master plan?
Sure. So actually at the open house we had in the fall of 2021, those of you who attended may recall, we actually had some zoning maps on display from the 1950s and 1970s, just to give some history, some context and history of the development of the township, and just how much has changed over the years. Some of those earliest zoning maps that we had the ability to share were almost all farmland in this community. Over time, things change. And it's going to continue to change as population grows. The urban Metro Detroit urban core is expanding and sprawl takes place. I'm sure the rural nature that we see in part of our township existed in Clinton Township, 30, 40 years ago, and so on. So with the master plan, we try to look at how we imagine the township is going to continue to grow and develop and what we would want it to look like. We take input from the residents and formulate the map that you saw. So it's certainly hundreds, if not thousands, of parcels that from the previous master plan, might have been master planned one area, that have changed every time the master plan is updated. Those were on display at the public open house, as well as when the draft was available for review. To specifically look at one or two parcels and highlight them and talk about them at the open house would not have been efficient or practical because of how many changes took place and continue to take place. So I think the process is really an iterative one, but it's also, you got to look at it at the higher level for how the township is going to develop.
And do you know whether or not this petitioner purchased the property before or after the master plan had been
I do not know that.
approved?
I do not know that.
Well, he came in for a rezoning once before.
That's correct. That's correct. He actually did come in for a rezoning prior to the master plan, and the planning commission tabled the item and said, we would like to wait until after the master plan. And at that time, he was seeking a rezoning to office. And now that the master plan has been updated, he has come back and is seeking C1 commercial.
Okay.
And it's, the master plan allows commercial or office in this location. So he could have come back with office. He chose to come back with commercial.
So a yes or no, did this developer lobby the planning, yourself or anyone in the township?
No.
For the change to the master
No.
plan? That's all I have. Thank you, Judge.
If,
Judge.
so this zoning is consistent with the property kitty corner, correct?
Yes.
And currently there is a proposal to put a commercial corner on the southwest east corner of 25 and Broughton.
Yes.
And how did that how did that development come to be proposed?
The one on the southeast corner, that is a consent judgment. That was somebody who sued the township, and
And that consent
Township
judgment,
told them no,
and I don't
and-
remember,
yeah,
Jim,
yeah.
remember when was that consent judgment put in place?
It's been modified a few times, but it's probably been in place for at least 5 or 6 years.
So
would be my
long
guess.
before this board came in.
Yes, yeah.
That previous developer asked for something, and the planning commission denied it. He sued, and then we were left to either settle that lawsuit or let it go to a judge.
Yes, yeah, yes. Instead of going to trial,
Instead of going
the
to trial.
township settled the matter. Yep.
So, and just to be even a little more illustrative, and without going into the details of what we have on our closed session, but later on the agenda, we have to address an item where a developer chose to propose something that was denied, correct, Ben?
Yes.
Then sued the township.
Yes.
And our choice is now the same in that case, either come to some agreement with this developer or allow it to go to a judge.
Yes.
Okay.
Just a question on, without getting into the details of that particular case, in that case, was the developer asking for something different from what the master plan had shown?
He wanted a 5-level high-rise off Hall Road. and
5-level
we were never
5-story height, yeah.
Never going to allow that, right. It wasn't appropriate.
So it was not allowed,
Yeah.
effectively?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't,
Mr. Supervisor?
yes.
If I may, I'm quite perplexed by how many people addressed the board and said that they never received any notification. And Josh, if you could offer some explanation how that might have happened, it seems strange.
So I was doing my best as they were stating their name and address to look. I did have the list of who got mailed. I didn't hear a single address listed that was within 300 feet, so that's why they didn't get one.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other?
Mr. Chairman, since you have that data at your fingertips, how many residents were notified? So are we talking about 2?
1, 2, 3, 15.
15. Mr.
So-
Chairman, I'd ask
Yeah.
that the names be read.
What's that?
I'm asking that the names be read.
Mr. Box, can you read the names on the list,
Sure.
please?
BCA Investments LLC, Suzanne DiMercurio, Salvatore DiMercurio, Mark D. Podolin, Michelle Maines, Vivian and Gary Mitchell, Judith M. O'Donnell, Cameron A. Quincy, Anne Marie Gerzanke, Yvette Demon and Mackenzie Lima, Jonathan Juliano, Donald and Janice Schwark Revocable Living Trust, Township of Macomb Town Hall, Town Center Village LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Box.
So just a quick question. I know we're not supposed to interplay. Sir, is your name just read?
No.
Okay, your name was not read.
No, sir. There's 2 houses in between this proposed property and my house. I'm on the northwest corner. And no, I do not fall in the 300 feet, which I don't agree with. I talked to somebody on the zoning board in Clinton Township, and there is 500 foot. 300 foot in a rural area is nothing. I mean, it's minuscule.
Yeah. So I
I
appreciate.
know you don't want to hear from me again, I'm sorry for that, but
Well, I appreciate you answering the question. I wanted to find out, but I understand that 300 feet in a dense urban area, may mean 500 people. In a very rural area, it might mean 2 houses. If I could follow up on a question from Trustee Kuzmano to Josh. And so,
Okay, excuse me.
so if I could follow up, Josh, I think I understood Trustee Kuzmano's question a particular way, and I want to make a clarification based on that. When a parcel like that, when we're doing a master plan, a township, a community, our community is doing a master plan, and they're looking at what changes what should be suggested with regard to land use moving forward, looking into the future and so forth. When they look at a parcel like that, why do you think the reasons would be that the people assembling the master plan would say, this looks like a spot that would be conducive for going from residential to commercial? Is it the main roads? Is it what are the criteria?
It is at the intersection of two main roads. When you look at the rest of the township, there's many of those intersections. Very few of them have residential properties on them, or if they are, they're very old residential properties. Nobody is building new residential properties on the intersection of two main roads, as well as we talked about the consent agreement that was on the property kitty corner from this, so we knew what land use was coming in the area as well as the ice arena, and we felt it was appropriate.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to say I realize that a lot of the elements we're talking about with regard to this item are legal notifications, master plan, potential lawsuit, property rights, and so forth. I moved in the community almost 17 years ago onto what used to be a farm, at 21 Mile Road and Card Road. It's very rural when I was a kid growing up in Shelby Township. I'm not sure how the people felt when my subdivision was built. And then when North Avenue was widened, behind my home, I wasn't particularly pleased that North Avenue went from a 2-lane road to a 5-lane road. I think that's probably the case with every single development that's ever gone into any community anywhere in the country. That it's difficult. It's difficult for the people who were there before. It was difficult for me after I moved in when I saw changes happening. So I understand it's an emotional thing when somebody moves into a community, when somebody's been living there a very long time. That change happens. So I realize it's emotional, not always just whether or not something's legal or a court battle and those sort of things. It's hard to get past something as important as our homes.
Okay, no. No, you cannot. No. The Treasurer Gillette asked you a question. I appreciate that you answered it, but this is not a question and answer period of the meeting. Any other board members have any discussion they'd like to add or comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I may just conclude the discussion, if no one else has anything to say, I think it's worthwhile for us to revisit that 300-foot statute, to consider expanding that for somebody that should live only two houses away from the area that's being affected. I think it's only fair to take that into consideration. So I would like to encourage us to revisit that with Josh after this meeting moving forward. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Clerk Posey.
I did have one comment if I could.
Sure.
To echo Trustee Kuzmano's earlier comment about accusations made against the board, I honor and I am proud of my honesty and integrity in my life and my work life. And for somebody to say that there's corruption going on, I'll walk you through exactly how I handle an agenda. I get the agenda on a Thursday before the meeting. I read the agenda. I make phone calls to whether it be the attorney, department heads, other board members, and I ask questions because I'm not here on a daily basis. I am a part-time trustee. I do what I think is in the best interest of the township. And when I found out of this rezoning, and I did get a phone call and an email from a resident that it's affected by, and we had a long discussion about it. And I gave her my reasons why I'm voting the way I'm going to vote on this. Because of the simple fact, I am not going to spend the township tax dollars fighting more lawsuits. That's the reason I joined this board, was I saw the amount of lawsuits that were happening and the amount of things that were happening. And I was sick and tired of it. So that's the reason I joined this board. So for somebody to say that there's corruption on this board, I am 100% offended by that. Myself, I read the agenda, I ask my questions, I make my decision on my own. I am not talking to any developers. I don't take lunches. I don't take phone calls saying, hey, let me talk to you about my agenda item. Never once in my 2.5 years on this board now. So I would just like to say, I can honestly sympathize with people that have lived here for many years and something is changing in their way of life. I can sympathize with that 100%. But the fact of the matter is, if we are going to get into more court battles and end up losing like we did on the southeast, or I believe southeast corner, or kitty corner to this property, like the one we're going to discuss later on tonight, I can't do any more of those. We've been through enough court battles and I don't want to be through any more. So I've asked my questions, and that's why I'm making my decision tonight. It has nothing to do with any developers or anybody talking to me and getting in my ear. So I just want to make that noticed.
Thank you, Trustee Lucido, and I concur with all your comments. Okay, there's no more? Okay, we have a motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Oliver, to approve the rezoning request from R1 to C1 for permanent parcel IDs 0804 400 034 and 0804 400 035. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, could I call a 5-minute recess, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
So the battle's lost, and the master plan got approved. It's all superfluous. All we do is a lawsuit. It's been approved by the
get some sleep.
So the die is cast, you know. It's
They
like,
called in the
I agree.
Martha showed up.
Right. I get it.
Texting who?
I mean, that's the nature of the animal.
If they go
An agricultural farmland that
You guys still sure you want to be on the ZBA? Now's your chance, last chance.
Sorry.
All right. I don't know, somebody was taking a long time in there. Okay. We are returning to open session. The time is 8:15 PM. And we are moving on to item 21. This is a request to approve an amendment to a stipulated judgment for the Villas of Villaggio, permanent parcel ID 0806200008. This is the west side of Romeo Plank, south of 26. Is there a motion?
Support.
I need Mr. Box.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. As you mentioned, this is for the Villas of Villaggio. This is the development that would be immediately south of the Kroger Plaza near 26 and Romeo Plank. There was previously a judgment to allow some smaller lots for this development. As they have moved forward and got an approved site plan, one of the things that became apparent as they started to build a few of the units is that the judgment was silent with regards to lot coverage and impermeable surface areas. So the builders came in and met with township staff, including the building official, and we came to an agreement of what we thought was acceptable. And so we want to add it to as an amendment to the judgment that's already in place. Township Legal has reviewed this, and everybody is in agreement at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Box. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, motion by Clerk Posey, supported by Treasurer Gillette, to approve the amendment to the stipulated judgment for the Villages of Villaggio on permanent parcel 0806200008. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 22. That's a request to adopt a 2023 Parks and Rec Master Plan. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Mr. Box.
As you recall, we had a public hearing earlier this meeting, for the Parks and Rec Master Plan. This is a document that we began working on this past summer. We've been working with Mr. DeCaro and his staff, as well as our consultant, to put this plan together. It has been on display. The final draft version has been on display since mid-November. It's been available here at the township, as well as the Parks and Rec building and the library. We have been accepting comments since that period began, and at this time, we were asking that the Parks and Rec Master Plan be adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Box. Is there any discussion or questions?
I just got a quick question to
Yep.
Josh. Josh, when you were asking for comments from the public, what was the gauge of what they were asking represent our new master plan?
So we did a survey for the Parks and Rec Master Plan earlier in the process, and I think the plan addresses what we heard from that survey. Once we put the draft plan together, and as I mentioned, it's been available since mid-November, we have not received a single comment about it.
Okay, thank you.
I believe I had some comments.
We ignored those. All right. If there's no more questions for Mr. Box on the Parks and Rec Master Plan, we have a motion by Clerk Posey, supported by Trustee Lucido, to adopt the 2023 Parks and Rec Master Plan. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Item 23 is a request to approve the engine 4 repairs in the amount of $10,930.22. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
Deputy Chief.
Good evening. Tonight, I'm requesting your approval to make the repairs to engine 4 due to oil and coolant leaks. The coolant leaks were discovered in December when the fire truck was sent in to determine what the leaks were caused by. It was sent into the Cummins dealer, Mount Clemens, who normally does our service. Engine 4 is a 2000 Suffolk engine with a Cummins engine. It was sent to the dealer. Dealer did some diagnosis. They fixed some small things while it was there. Came back with the $10,930.22 quote to fix the leaks that they currently have. The Cummins dealer has done all the repairs on the engine in that engine 4 since it was new. One of the things with those is all the parts will need to be ordered from Cummins to begin with. So we kind of go to the source and the expertise to get it repaired. So I'm requesting approval for the $10,930.22 to have that vehicle repaired.
Deputy Chief, why do we think it's so expensive to plug some leaks?
It's actually, under the quote, I believe it's about $2,800. I have it in front of me. Give me 1 second. It's $2,100 there, and the rest of it is in labor.
And as the chief explained to me that basically the entire engine has to be torn apart in order to get to the spot where the leaks are.
Correct. The top of the engine needs to be removed, which includes the valve train and the valve cover, and I'm not sure if it's the whole head or not, but the majority of it is, if you look at the quote, the majority of it is labor. After speaking to them, there's at least a week of work involved in doing that, a week of 8-hour days involved in the repairs.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Just a quick question. Just follow up on that engine stuff. They haven't opened up the engine yet, so.
No.
So they could find more issue when they open that up.
Right now, based off of what I've been told and talking with them, most of it is valve train leaks, things like that. It's oil coolant leaks that they need to repair. It wasn't an emergent repair that needed to be done, so they provided a quote and sent it back, and that's what we're requesting. But at this point, no, it's not. They aren't expecting, but as we all know, there may be additional, but this is just what they're looking at to repair the oil and coolant leaks that they have found.
Okay.
And I'd even advise OEM parts.
I know.
You gotta go with that stuff, so.
Do you and Adam want to talk privately on the side about trucks and
We've already
tractors?
talked about it. I just wanna let you know that. Cost of labor.
Sure.
Sounds heavy, but.
I know.
I appreciate the background because my Uncle Lemmy fixed my oil leak for $50, but he didn't have to disassemble an entire fire truck engine to get to it, so I appreciate that clarification.
But, thank you for that information. Thank you, Adam.
I asked
We're
because
done.
that was the reaction I had when I was told about it, and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But yes, now I understand.
We're paying going shop rate is what we're paying for the repairs and qualified technicians to work on it.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none. Motion by trustee Oliver, supported by trustee Lasudo to approve the engine repairs on engine 4 for $10,930.22. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 24 is a request to purchase a ball diamond groomer from Macomb Corners Park from ABI Attachments in the amount of $26,845. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support. Sir.
Mr. Carl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, board members. Parks and Recreation Department is requesting permission to purchase a ball diamond groomer from Macomb Corners Park. Even though this item is a sole source purchase, we did get quotes on similar items. The three quotes range from $26,845 to $35,512.62. This time, we're recommending we purchase the groomer from ABI Attachments for a cost of $26,845. I've included the quotes, the confirmation of process memo from the purchasing specialist. This is a budgeted item, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. DeCaro. Any questions or discussion?
I got one. It'll be
Yep.
quick.
Yeah, okay.
Do we have a current groomer now?
We currently have a groomer, yes.
And are we selling it, or are we gonna keep it?
Well, three things actually. So we had 1,887 games last year at Macomb Corners Park. So that thing is used all the time. This, if we order this tomorrow, it's going to take 6 months to get here. So we're going to hang on to this groomer. It's getting pretty close to end of life. So I think we would like to hold on to it as a backup, and for tournaments, we can put one on each side of the park.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Oliver.
Just for clarification, Sal, you mentioned this was a single purchase.
Sole source.
Sole source purchase.
Correct.
Can you clarify that again? Maybe I didn't catch it. Is there a reason why it was sole source, or?
Well, for each, obviously there's a lot of ball groomers out there, but there are certain things. So we could have just, through the purchasing policy, just had the one, almost like Sourcewell or, one of those kind of cooperatives. But we did want to compare it to other things. And the one we chose just happened to be the best price also. So we kind of got a bonus.
Okay, just want to make sure there's an even playing field when we're purchasing these groomers.
It's a long way to go for that joke. Long way to go.
A little late for that way out.
All right. If there are any more questions for Mr. Carl? Motion by Trustee Oliver, supported by Clerk Posey, to approve the purchase of a ball diamond groomer from Macomb Corners from ABI Attachments, $26,845. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Board.
The next item, the next two items are actually board appointments and a board appointment alternative, or board alternate appointment.
Chair, I move will be consolidate items 25 and 26 into a single item based on the fact that they achieve a similar purpose.
So you have motion to approve both?
Motion to approve both.
Support.
So before us today, we have, we are here, we are proposing to appoint a new zoning board of appeals member. This would be to take place of a recent retirement. Mr. Paul Mazzara has lived in the township for 47 years, nearly his entire child and adult life. He is currently a service engineer for Ford Motor Company, and he has shown a strong interest in participating in the development and the future enhancements of the township. And that would be for the permanent position. For the alternate position, we have Mr. Jim, and excuse me if I butcher your name, Gamicia. Mr. Gamicia has been living in the township for the past 8 years. He has a professional background working with various municipalities around Macomb County. And again, through a conversation that he and I had, I believe he'll be an ideal candidate to help serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals. So with that, I will take any questions. Okay, hearing none. Motion by Trustee Oliver, supported by Clerk Posey. It was by you, right?
Yeah.
Motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Oliver, by Clerk Posey. To appoint Mr. Paul Mazzara to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and to appoint Mr. James Gamicia as a Zoning Board of Appeals alternate. Members, please vote. I wrote them in the wrong spots. I know. Motion passes unanimously. That takes us to our non-agenda comments for public comment. Again, this is a 3-minute time limit. If there's anyone who wishes to speak, please use the microphone on the right-hand side of the room. Anybody who wants to participate remotely, please digitally raise your hand. I don't see anybody present. Is there anybody remotely? No? All right, moving on from our second public comment. This brings us to board comments. Trustee Lucido.
Just two quick things. Congratulations to Mr. Mazzara, Mr. Gamicia. Jimmy and I grew up together, so I've known him a long time, and he's an asset to the township. Regards to the earlier item number 20, I just still vote with what I think is in the best interest of the township as a whole. And yes, I take into account the residents that are very close to it, but I look at my decision as the township as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Lucido. Trustee Nevers.
Yes, I would just like to say that having been on the board for as many years as I have, I felt this could have escalated, this discussion tonight could have gotten very ugly. I want to commend the supervisor and all of the members of the board for handling it so professionally. It's been diffused, I feel, and so congratulations to everybody that was part of that.
Thank you, Trustee Nevers. Trustee Oliver.
I'll make it quick.
Promises, promises.
I want to thank the Water and Sewer Department for cleaning up the snow. Nice to come in and it was all cleaned up. I want to thank the two gentlemen for stepping up. Again, I always appreciate it. I know the board appreciates it. It's hard to get people to volunteer for this stuff, and so thank you. That's it.
Okay, Trustee Kuzmano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to congratulate the two appointees and thank them for their public service and serving on the zoning Board of Appeals. One of the things I think I bring to the board, and it's very interesting because I asked some very pointed questions, including having Mr. Box read those names off, because in the past, people grew accustomed to this format where they can take pot shots and accuse people of untoward or illegal activity. That's not fair to the people that go to work every single day for the township or the elected board members or professionals that work for the board and the township residents. I asked those questions and until I satisfy myself, because I had written no next to that agenda item after hearing that presentation by these residents. And I think it's important for the residents to understand that things just don't go your way all the time, and it's not because of corruption. And if I thought for 1 minute that any member of this board was engaged in corrupt activity, I think everyone knows my reputation in the community. I'd be all over it. I'm sitting here because there was a conversation with Mike Keys at a restaurant where he indicated that, in his opinion, who I trusted his opinion, that there was actual corruption with a capital C going on. So I want to reassure the residents that I'm satisfied that there is no corruption in in township government and county government for that matter, even though apparently the last of the cases is washing through the federal court system right now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Kuzmano. Treasurer Gillette.
Mr. Chair, I'd also like to welcome our new ZBA appointees and thank them for their service. I'd also like to thank the members of the Public Works Department today who gathered together near the Township Library to help push a woman's car out of the ditch by the side of the road after she was trying to return her book and slid off the road. So it was very helpful, those folks, to go over there and make sure they help that resident out. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Treasurer Gillette. Clerk Posey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too would like to congratulate the new ZBA members. I personally have sat on that board since 2015 as a permanent member, and then I went to an alternate to allow me more time to focus on elections and give another resident an opportunity to get involved. That being said, when we posted the position, again, we had some interest. And in the past, we haven't had a lot of interest when we posted, so I chose to step down to allow a resident to use the alternate position to have the opportunity to get involved. I think it's a great thing. You're sitting with amazing colleagues, and it's a great experience, so I think the both of you will enjoy that as much as I did. That's all I have.
Thank you, Clerk Posey. And for my comments, again, I'm going to echo the congratulations to our two new members of the ZBA. We did have a couple of really good candidates, these two gentlemen among them, and I unfortunately had to turn down a couple of good candidates, but they were gracious enough to allow me to keep their applications on file, and hopefully I'll find an opportunity to allow them to serve in another capacity. It was kind of the first time I had a really good, well-rounded group of residents all submit applications at the same time, so that was nice to see. Congratulations on the master plan, Josh, and your team. I know you guys put a lot of work into it. Kevin, please express my gratitude to your entire team. I know it's been a long day, and they got a lot of cleanup still to do, so I'm glad we have them out there getting things cleaned up for us. And all Ed do was laugh from a window at the poor lady drove off the road. So I was really embarrassed for you today, by the way. All right. And
You didn't go out and help her?
He was looking out the same window.
I was yelling at Ed. Stop looking out the window.
Just looking at it.
I know.
right?
Just quit looking at that poor lady out there.
Okay.
And with that, so we're about to go into closed session. We're going to have 3 items to discuss tonight. We have a consideration of a proposed consent judgment in the matter of Salmar v. Macomb Center, LLC versus Macomb Township. We have the matter of Burnco Inc. versus Macomb Township, which is an arbitration demand. And we are going to get a litigation update in the case of Authority v. Macomb Township for both the circuit and the federal court. All 3 of these will be under MCL 15.2681E. And before we do, I'd like to ask Mr. Aloya if he could give us a procedural status update in the Authority case.
Sure. So the Authority lawsuit has been pending since before I was hired by the township in February of 2021. And at that time, Mr. Authority filed a First Amendment complaint. Since I've been involved, we have completed all discovery in the case. All the depositions have been completed. As the board knows, all the board trustees were deposed in the case. Mr. Authority was deposed. All the documents have been exchanged, so that is now closed. And so where we're at now is that we have filed a motion to dismiss the federal court case, which is the only claim left is a due process claim where he claimed he was entitled to a hearing before he was terminated. And the township has defenses to that, and we have filed a motion to dismiss that case. Mr. Sorty is filing his responses to that motions now, and we will have a reply period, and there will be a hearing on that, I think, in the next month or so. If the court decides to have a hearing, the court can rule on it without a hearing. In addition, there's one claim left for Mr. Sorty, that is his whistleblower claim. The time to file a motion for summary disposition to dismiss that claim in state court is coming up, and I anticipate there will be motions filed to dismiss that claim. And lastly, he did appeal the dismissal of his breach of contract claim, where the court found his contract was void as to public policy due to the fact that it had a just cause termination and did not have an end of a term. He filed a motion to set that decision aside this last fall. That was denied by the court, and he has since filed what's called an interlocutory appeal to the Court of Appeals, and that is now pending. Our response is due within the next month, and the court will decide whether it will permit Mr. Authority to file an appeal. And if they do, then we will file briefs. If it does not, then he does not have the right to continue his appeal during the pendency of the lawsuit, but still has an appeal as of right at the end of the case.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Loya.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I noticed that the case number for the Court of Appeals on agenda item number 29 was listed as 354363. It should be 36, not 5, 4363.
364363?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that correction.
If you go to the 35 case number, you'll get a jailhouse lawyer who's...
My apologies if that was my typo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Trustee Kuzmano.
I make the motion to go into closed session.
Support.
Any discussion? Motion by Trustee Kuzmano, supported by Treasurer Gillette, to enter closed session per MCL 15.2681E and all the matters listed earlier. Ms. Clerk Posey, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Trustee Cusimano?
Yes.
Treasurer Drollet.
Yes.
Trustee Lucido.
Yes.
Trustee Oliver.
Yes.
Trustee Nevers.
Yes.
Clerk Posey, yes. Supervisor Viviano.
Yes. That motion is approved, and we are entering closed session. The time is 8:39 PM. You ready, Anne Marie? We're going again. We are returning from closed session. The time is 9:22 p.m. This time, I'm going to ask for a motion in regards to closed session item number 1.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent judgment in the matter of Salmar Macomb Center LLC versus Macomb Township et al. Macomb County Circuit Court Case Number 2022-001070-CZ.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Kuzmano, to approve the consent judgment in the matter of Salmar v. Macomb, Salmar Macomb Center LLC v. Macomb Township and L. Macomb County Circuit Case Number 2022-001070-CZ. Clerk Posey, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Treasurer Drollet?
Yes.
Trustee Kuzmano?
Yes.
Trustee Lucido?
Yes.
Trustee Oliver?
Yes.
Trustee Nevers?
Yes.
Clerk Posey, yes. Supervisor Viviano?
Yes. That motion is approved. I could have. voice
Mr.
voted
Chair?
on that.
That's okay.
Sorry.
We'll just
I'd like to make a motion to approve the settlement agreement in the matter of Burnco Incorporated versus Macomb Township et al. In regard to the arbitration demand.
Second by Kuzmano.
There's no discussion. Motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Kuzmano, to approve the settlement agreement in the matter of Burnco v. Macomb Township. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. And with that, we will move on to adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Chairman, just note that item number 29 was for informational purposes only.
Okay. Do I need to note that, or do
I
you?
just noted it.
Thank you.
So, do we have a motion?
Duly noted. Now is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any motion, discussion? Might as well do the whole thing. None. Hearing none. Motion by Trustee Lucido, supported by Trustee Kuzmano, to adjourn the meeting. Members, please vote.